Well, he may have started from down the order, but Max Verstappen is as relentless as he is consistent, as he is brilliantly fast. Another win on the board for the two-time world champion, unstoppable around the streets of Miami. What a drive from Max Verstappen. What a race we've seen today. So many passes, so much racing, so much action, and we're going to go through it all in the here and the now with you in this fabulous Hard Rock Stadium here in Miami. Folks, welcome to your post-race show with me, Will Buxton, James Hinchcliffe, and I'm delighted to welcome to the show an IndyCar champion in the form of Alex Palou. How are you,
Thank you so much. I'm great. Yeah, good to be here, guys.
It was quite the race today, quite the performance from Max Verstappen.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's been really fast all weekend. We saw that in practices. We knew that it was going to be more interesting with him starting a little bit further back than what we expected. But yeah, I mean, what a pace he had during the race.
Yeah, that middle stint, Hinch, was just crushing.
I mean, it was demoralizing for everyone else. We talked about it on the broadcast. I mean, Checo had the lap time in him. He just could not do it lap after lap after lap, where Max was just clocking off these unbelievably quick times on 20-lap older tires than Checo was consistently. It was an absolute masterclass.
It was. Masterclass is the word. You can get in touch with the show by using the hashtag F1Live. Please do send in your questions or your comments, your general feelings on the day, and we will do our best either to share them with the wider world or to answer said questions, should you have them. It was quite the start to the weekend. The grid was one of the most busy I think I've ever seen, and then we had the intros with LL Cool J, which was a little bit different for something in the States.
I mean, I loved the orchestra. I thought that part was awesome. The new song and everything being played by, how many piece band was that?
I'm not sure.
Can
we call it a band? It was an orchestra.
It was an orchestra. Yeah, it was impressive. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Bit of razzmatazz, never a bad thing. You get to do that every weekend at IndyCar.
Yeah, we kind of do, right? So I thought it was cool as well. I thought it was something different, a bit more energy. So
yeah, great fun. And celebs littered throughout the grid. Almost impossible to make your way from one end to the other. And actually, one man who was, do please come in, was will.i.am, who is in charge of it all. Hello, will.i.am.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I am Will. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. Good to see you,
bud.
Can we just start with the opening to the race? Are you classically trained? Did you have to learn conducting, or does it just come naturally?
So that particular number, I flew out to Czech last month. I wrote the composition with myself, Henri, and Keith. So we worked with a 50-piece orchestra. Today was a 30-piece orchestra. I've worked with orchestras in the past, or Black Eyed Peas records, things that I did for NASA. One of the first songs, actually the first song that was ever beamed back from Mars was a song that I did with an orchestra in LA. So yeah, I've worked with orchestras in the past before.
How do you do those kind of deals with people to be able to get your song on Mars, to be able to get yourself, here on the F1 today? How do those things come about? You just go to NASA and say, hey, I want to do a song, I want to send it to Mars.
No, with NASA it was purpose-driven. So I have a school in LA where we teach kids computer science and robotics. It's the reason why I like F1 so much, because of the engineering aspect, the teamwork, and that kind of reflects like the team building that our kids do at the school that I have. And so getting songs like that on Mars, working with NASA, you pitch ideas. Similar to the idea that I pitched to Stefano on creating an artist in residency program. One of the first songs from that artist in residency for F1 is The Formula with me and Lil Wayne. To follow that is me and J Balvin. We have other songs that are about to come out from the album that I've dedicated for the sport, celebrating the sport, celebrating the engineers, and having big ideas and executing them. And we're sitting in the middle of a big idea. The engineering that went to make this and materialize for F1 being here in Miami, it's all ideas and fearlessness and ambition and audacity and pitching and doing awesome stuff. I love to pitch.
I love that. I love that. The new song's called Formula.
Yeah, this is the formula.
What is?
What is the formula?
What is the formula for you for writing a hit record?
whatever would a hit record. I like freaking taking ideas and manifesting them.
Love it.
Whether it's a song, whether it's a program, whether it's an app like FYI, whether it's like sending a song to Mars, working with NASA, whether it's like erecting a school in the ghetto that I come from, teaching kids robotics and computer science. So the formula to do all that is ambition, audacity, collaboration, magnetism, to be able to have an idea, materialize it.
It's inspirational, man.
Yeah, it's like, that's what it's all about, bro.
Love it.
Especially right now, it's no longer like man competing against man. We got to compete against the machine.
Yeah.
AI is like here, creating, strategizing, formulating ideas and concepts, and we have new things to compete against.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you're going to be here all the way through the year, so we'll catch up with you at another
boom.
race soon.
All right, bro.
Thank you so much.
Be safe.
Appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much.
Stay audacious.
Awesome job, man.
Keep
Awesome
the
job.
ambition, bro.
Yes,
Love
sir.
that.
Think about it. A freaking drink is out engineering engineers. Talk about ambition and audacity.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Love it.
You're not
Right?
wrong.
Very true.
Anything's possible. Right? A drink, my dude.
We know.
Out-
I've never looked
outperforming.
at it like that before, but
Yeah.
he's got a
Love
point.
that.
It's
He's got a great
outperforming.
point. Yeah.
Imagine one's like, yo, I think we're doing good this year, bro. Like we sold a lot of drinks. What do you want to do next year? I don't know. Let's get in the race against like Mercedes. And Mercedes like, the drink, ha 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 ha. Yo, bro, I'm all day Mercedes. But the audacity, ambition of a drink, mic drop.
Brilliant. Mr. Will.i.am, ladies and gentlemen. I love that. Of course, that drinks company did employ one of the greatest engineers and designers of all time in the form of Mr. Adrian Newey, and his creation today was totally unstoppable.
Yeah, I don't think he was engineering drinks before he was engineering race cars.
No.
So
No, sure no.
I get it, but no, that machine is just impressive. Because once again, I mean, yeah, fine, 3-4 second gap between Max and Checo, but it's again that 20-second gap back to Fernando in third. It just shows you how far ahead they are.
Yeah, it was an astonishing performance by them today. I've also got to say a really great performance from Alpine today. After that really difficult weekend in Baku. They swung back, both guys in the points today.
I mean, it was great. I mean, you saw it. They a couple different strategies. Gasly up there in the top 5, Ocon a little bit further back, but both guys I thought did a great job bringing cars home in the points.
Yeah, they did. They did. It was not good for us, for McLaren, but yeah, they did a good race. They did different strategies. They had good, I think, good performance throughout the race. So yeah, good for them.
It was very good for them, and this track seemingly created far more overtaking opportunities than we saw last year and that we'd anticipated. What do you think that
Yeah,
was
honestly,
down to?
we, inside the team, we anticipated less passes. We anticipated almost no passes, and we saw a lot more than last year, a lot more than last weekend, so I think it's a step forward. I think it was quite fun, and yeah, I think Max also helped getting more passes throughout the race.
Yeah, he upped the tally, definitely. Hinch, what was it down to? Did you think, was it the new surface? Was it the fact that all that rubber was washed away overnight?
I mean, I was literally just going to ask him that question. I mean, they haven't had time to have their debrief back from McLaren, but do you have an idea of what maybe that secret ingredient was to have more passing than
Honestly, I
anticipated?
don't know yet because we haven't spoken to the drivers, but honestly, during practice one, the track was really dirty, obviously, just because it was a new tarmac, there was no rubber, and the drivers started saying that it was going to be tough to do the second lane or try and get some clean air. But during practice 2 and during practice 3, they said it was getting better. So we thought that there could be a chance that the track was going to be allowed for some more overtakes.
It was a brilliant race, as we were saying, for Alpine, and for this man here, Esteban, come on in. Hey, man.
Hey, Will.
What do we do these days?
What are we
What do we
doing?
do these days? Come here.
Give me a proper hand
Great
shake.
job. Great
How
job.
are you doing?
All right, man. Good to see you.
Esteban, P9 at the end there, and a tough race for everybody, but some good moves, real fast at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been good, to have both cars in the points this weekend. I think a good bounce back, obviously from last weekend, where it was a tricky one for us. It feels like there was more possible this weekend. I think there was more that we could have done in quali, and starting further up, it could have changed a whole lot of things. And probably, 6 or 7s probably would have been possible, but that's how it is, and we're going to keep pushing for more on the next one.
We heard in the cool-down room the guys talking about how this year it was quite a bit less physical because it wasn't as hot maybe. How'd you feel inside the car compared to last year?
Yeah, I could have done another race. I felt I was catching the others in front, so I could have gone for 30 more laps, definitely.
Do you think you pitted too late? Could you have come in a bit earlier, if you had that pace to really push on to the end, if you were feeling that good?
We probably could have covered Lewis at the time, but it was a close call because we were trying to hang on to the DRS of Carlos. Good battle with him as well, back and forwards. It was quite nice a couple times, but in hindsight, I think they were a little bit fast for us in the race, the Mercedes, and but we never know if I would have come ahead in the pit.
How good does this feel to come back from that really difficult weekend in Baku, the disappointment at the end of Australia, the upgrades that came on last time, you didn't really get an opportunity to see if they worked or not. To come here, both cars in the points, really competitive pace in the race.
Yeah, it feels good. Doesn't feel great. We are not winning yet. We are not top 5. We're not podium. So it doesn't feel like this is where we should be. We need to keep pushing. Obviously, it's been good to come back where we belong, but there's a lot more to come, hopefully.
Thank you, Esteban.
Thank you very much.
On the show, man. Great
and
job.
I need to say, Alex, I think last time I saw him, we were racing in go-kart together.
No.
in the same team.
Long time ago.
No,
we were
you've not
teammates.
seen each
We're
other
teammates.
since then.
Yeah.
I saw him, but he didn't
From
see
far
me.
away. No, come on.
At Coda, I was at Coda sharing track with you, FP1.
Ah, really?
Yeah, see?
Sorry, man.
He didn't know.
Sorry.
It shows how much
Hopefully-
attention
He can't see you
F1
inside the
drivers
car,
pay.
so it's...
Hopefully
you
we
did the
race
FP1
together
session.
soon, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying, so
I know.
we'll keep pushing.
Well, best
Yeah.
of luck, man.
Thank you.
In IndyCar.
Love
See
that.
you.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
See, I thought I did a good job at Coda, and I didn't.
It's because you were so far ahead. That's what it was.
I don't think so,
You're so
but anyway,
fast.
thank you.
So fast.
Thank
He
you.
didn't want to admit it. He didn't want to admit that he knew because
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
kind of scared of how good you
Exactly.
were.
That's it.
Your first
That's
time
it.
in the car.
Big talking point this weekend over at Alpine, though, is the words out of Laurent Rossi, where he really threw the team under the bus, said that they were dilettantes, said that they were amateurish, that they had allowed themselves to get to a position where they weren't extracting everything from what they were putting in to the team. Do we think we're going to see changes at Alpine as a result of this?
Where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't normally see that kind of language coming out of somebody unless there's a real intention behind it. Look, I don't know the internals of that team. I don't know what the culture's like, what the mood is like over there right now. But look, they were running well in Australia. Obviously, that was a poor end to the race. Baku was just a rough weekend, sprint format. You could kind of blame it on a couple different things. It sounds a little dramatic, a little bit maybe in I don't know the best way to put
Preemptive
it, but
strike.
yeah, it's almost like he's focusing on a couple things because they already knew changes were coming and they're leaning on some bad results.
It was the talk when we got in this morning. Rumors are there may be a shake-up coming. Right.
So they're announcing you as TM, or
I don't think that's a good idea.
I
don't
love
think
having
so.
you on the show, man.
Yeah.
let's get that rumor going.
It's the
Will to
light relief,
Alpine.
the comedy relief. Let's talk about Logan Sargent. Tough day for him, but one of a number of drivers like your guys who ditched that soft tire early, and he did the entire race bar the first lap on one set of hards. So tough.
Which is impressive, honestly. I mean, as a driver, it's tough to make more than 50 laps on one set of tires, but he had to change a front wing as well, right?
He did. And so they thought, get rid of the softs, change
exactly.
the wing, go.
That's the thing. So I think he got a bit of bad luck that you had to pit, and it didn't make sense to just go for a two-stop because, it wasn't the day for it.
But you guys weren't too far behind. I mean, you started on the softs, pit quite early, with so little long running in practice, so few long runs done. How were you guys so confident that the hards were going to make it that?
Or was it
that
just
much
like
of
a
the
holy
distance?
hand grenade?
Oh, yeah.
Like, hope
Maybe
for the
it'll
safety
two-stop,
car.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll one stop.
Exactly.
Plan A, Plan B, Plan C.
Honestly, they have a lot more data and knowledge than I thought without going 35 or 40 laps on a set of tires. But they didn't really know. They obviously, as we were starting a bit further back, we wanted to try something different, something aggressive that could allow us to score 1-2 points on a rough weekend like that. But it didn't work out. So
Lando did get a bit of a knock at the start from Nick de Vries, but even with that said, I know that going into qualifying, the team weren't confident in making it out of Q3. I know they weren't confident for the race today. Was the finishing positions about where expected?
yeah, it's been a rough weekend. Lando had a really good practice too, which we were a bit surprised, and it's been just not the weekend that we expected. And then on top of that, with Oscar doing the race, we had an issue that he had to manage with the brakes.
Okay.
So that's why he dropped so much back, because he did a really good start. He was up to 14th, I think.
Yeah, he was.
And honestly, also with Lando, he had a little bit of damage. And if you add those little things to a rough weekend, it's just not the result we wanted.
Absolutely. We can hear from one of your teammates right now, Lando Norris with Lawrence Barretto.
Lando, I know it's a really difficult afternoon out there. Just how lonely was it, or how frustrating was it?
I guess frustrating. It's just a long race, not enough speed to battle anyone, and weigh out the points. So it's tough, but I did what I could.
When you then look ahead to the next couple of races, it's been a difficult one here, kind of difficult one in Baku as well. What do the team need to do to make some steps forward?
Just keep trying to do what we're doing. Like, we're not doing anything wrong. We just don't have a car. We're just quick enough at the minute. So just keep working hard.
All right, hard luck, thanks.
These guys are talking about going to space camp.
Sorry.
Carry it on. We will know.
No, I was nerding out over Will.i.am's love of technology and NASA and stuff. Because I went to space camp as a kid. He went to the Marshall Space Center right before the Barber race last week. So we were just talking space stuff.
I kind of love how into STEM Will.i.am is. I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither.
His own
Yeah.
school, teaching robotics. I mean, that's
And
incredible.
the energy that he had.
Yeah.
I like him.
It's kind of
And
inspirational.
he's had a song on Mars, so he's kind of a big deal.
He's a cool guy.
He is indeed. Another cool guy has just joined McLaren again, Gilles de Ferran, a legend in IndyCar circles. Hinch, what is the team getting with a guy like Gilles to really lead that team now?
Yeah, just a tremendous amount of experience, right? I mean, he's done work as obviously a driver. We know his driving record. That speaks for itself. He's been a team owner. He's been in a similar role like this with the team before. He's been in a similar role like this with a manufacturer before with Honda. So he's kind of got this super well-rounded approach and experience level that he can bring to sort of help maybe guy. I don't know exactly what it is they need out of him, but they've got someone that can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Your thoughts on Gilles? How heavily involved was he this weekend? 'Cause we saw him in the garage.
He was just in obviously all the meetings, and he's, I think, getting into the team again now, trying to get as much information and knowing how we work as a team. And I'm doing the same at the same time. But I think it's going to be a big help for the team. I don't know exactly what the role is going to be and how it's going to be when he starts doing more stuff. But it's been great to have him doing this weekend.
Fascinating, of course, we said on the pre-race show, Gilles de Ferran used to hold a very similar position to the one it seems that he's stepped back into at McLaren. So he was sort of let go and now brought back into the mix. But yeah, hugely experienced, great guy, brilliant racer. Let's talk quickly about Lance Stroll today, who just missed out on the points, but was firing at the end, like so many of the guys who hung onto the hards. As soon as they moved onto the mediums, what had looked like it was a horrible write-off of the day suddenly started to become far more enjoyable for them.
Yeah, I think it's tough to always start with the hard, that you have 100 kilos of fuel. You need to manage the tires to get it long, but then as soon as they got onto the mediums, he was able to overtake a bit too late, I believe. Like he couldn't get into the points. But yeah, he was making some good moves, drove some attention.
And can we just have a word for Yuki Tsunoda? P11 again. But having started P17, and with the AlphaTauri again looking pretty miserable this weekend, no pace throughout practice at all. The job that guy is doing in race conditions this year, personally, I think it's desperately impressive.
Very much so. I mean, we all know the amount of hype that Nick De Vries had when he came in. A lot of people were saying, yeah, look, Yuki's only done 2 years in F1. Nick's done, he's got the F2 championship. He's got an FE championship. He's driven for like 8 different Formula One teams at various times over the last couple of years. And he's older than your average rookie. So they thought, you know what, even though it's his first year in the series, there's a good chance that Nick's going to be the team leader. Man, Yuki must have taken that personally because he is absolutely performing incredibly in a car that is objectively the slowest on the grid.
I'd agree, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe on a good weekend, the 9th fastest on the grid. So great job.
And he did some good moves today.
He did, didn't he?
I think was one in last corner that he went round the outside and it was pretty impressive. So yeah, he's been amazing this year.
What does that do to a driver if you're embedded in the team, they bring in somebody and the whole world expects this guy to come in and just wipe the floor with you? What does that do to you and your mindset? Does, like with Yuki, as Hinch was saying,
I think it fires you up a little bit. And honestly, I think Yuki was doing a good job also before, but nobody realized how good of a job Gasly was doing as well.
Great point. Great point.
So, yeah, he's been much better this year, Yuki, compared to last year. Really consistent, really good moves, risking, but not too much. And he can show that in consistency.
Yeah, we're not seeing the accidents that we saw out of him the last 2 years in practice and qualifying races, anything. He's been very, very straight on that side.
Nice words on Pierre Gasly. We should hopefully be hearing from him a little bit later in the show. For now, though, I want to concentrate on Kevin Magnussen. Started top 4, never was going to realistically hang on to it given the pace of that Haas, but did hold on for crucial points at Haas today and raced brilliantly with Charles Leclerc. Let's not forget,
he did.
That's Ferrari, right? And Haas buy most of their parts from Ferrari, and today we're on pace.
Yeah, he did a tremendous job. I think everybody kind of knew that they were going to drop a little bit, but still managed the points, which I bet it was their target, and he was fighting hard with Charles right there, so yeah.
I loved all the back and forth. He'd get past, he'd be like, nope, and get them back on the exit a couple times, and kind of really had his elbows out, and it was great. I would have loved to have seen him have a better start. He started P4, I think he was 7th by the end of lap 1. If he had managed to hold on to 4th, maybe 5th in those first couple laps, how does that change his Grand Prix? Maybe it doesn't, maybe he still ends up 10th, but if he didn't lose quite so much track position early on, would he have been able to be a little bit higher?
What was that? Overly cautious, perhaps? Such a great starting position, doesn't want to take contact in the first few corners?
Didn't
or
get
just
a good look at it. I don't know. I don't know if he had a bad start or...
Me neither. I was watching my cars.
That's fair. I was trying to watch all the cars.
I said we'd hear from Pierre Gasly. We will hear from Pierre Gasly. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
How are you, though? Great drive out there today.
Yeah, it was good. Great start. And then, after I tried to hang on there for the majority of the race, but just lacked a bit of pace today compared to the Mercedes and the Ferrari. And with 15 laps to go, we had to do like fuel saving, which at some point I thought I'm gonna give up because I could see Charles coming back, and I was like, you want to push, try to give everything you have, and at the same time you need to lift off, and it's annoying. But I tried to manage this in the best way I could, and unfortunately we missed 4 laps to keep Lewis and Charles behind. So P8 still a good bounce back from Baku, but we need to build up from there.
I mean, you guys are knocking on the door now. Baku was obviously a bit of the outlier. We saw great pace in Melbourne, much better pace here. Is this the trend? Do you think we're moving forward? Or we have more upgrades coming? You think you can fight for points every weekend now?
I think that's clearly the target. Baku was still very surprising, and I think we need to figure out why it was so difficult.
I was going to say, have you figured that out yet? Have you looked into what the issue was?
Yeah, we got some ideas,
okay.
But you never know. I'm just pleased the car worked a lot better here, and we sort of built up from after Melbourne. There was definitely a lot more confidence. Now we managed to get our best qualifying of the year yesterday, showed more pace the whole weekend. Still lacking a little bit compared to Mercedes and Ferrari, but if we manage to get these 2-3 tenths we are missing at the moment, I think we can join the fight, so we'll be pushing.
Yeah, we were speaking a little bit before about the overtaking and how we expected a little bit less overtaking, and it felt a little bit easier. What was your
I think so,
that?
yesterday. Last year was a lot harder, and I think there was more degradation than last year, which kind of made the pace between cars a bit more different. So, I was a bit surprised as well. But in a way, we're not going to complain about it.
That's good.
It's definitely good, and I maybe didn't play in my favor, but at the end of the day, I prefer that way of racing.
Triple header coming up: Imola, Monaco, Barcelona. Anything there that gets you excited as to how the car will react, or any upgrades that might be coming?
New upgrades, you always get excited with new upgrades. So we need to see exactly when they're coming, but I know the team is pushing really hard, so I'm happy for everyone. Managed to get a double point finish today, 8s and 9s. Obviously, we'll like more than that, but hopefully it can kick off our season properly and give good motivation for the guys to get us some more upgrades.
Great job today, mate.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thanks,
job,
Pierre. Thank you very much. Lovely drive from Pierre, and as he said, in the end, he just couldn't hold Charles Leclerc back. Let's talk Charles Leclerc. Let's talk his race, because at the start, like a lot of the guys in that part of that midfield fight, couldn't make the positions, couldn't make the time up, couldn't make his way through, but then came on song at the end.
Yes, but still, it seemed it was too little too late, right? You look at some of the other drivers that started further back than maybe should have. I know Max is a bit of a different story, but
yes,
he made quick work of everybody around him where Charles did not, including Charles himself. But then even like Hamilton's drive, from where he started to where he finished, good progress. Leclerc was kind of a little more stuck. He sort of was where he was. I was expecting more forward progress from them, even though we know that race pace is maybe not the Ferrari strength. Saturday seems to be their good day, but yeah, I was surprised to see it take till the end of the race before we kind of really saw some moves there.
And oddly, the guys who had the pace at the end were the ones predominantly who'd started on the hard, moved on to the medium. Leclerc had started on the medium, moved on to the hard, and found that pace in those final laps.
Yeah, I think it was more the track evolution a little bit, and also the fuel just going down and people able to push. There was a lot of people saving fuel as well, at different teams, which that played a big role as well on seeing passes at the end where some people, maybe Mercedes, didn't have to save any fuel at the end and they could overtake a little bit more.
Great battle between Charles Leclerc and Kevin Magnussen. You were calling it in the booth. It was a lot of fun to listen to, fun to call.
It was great. I mean, Kevin was kind of the most robust defender, I would say, of the day, and some great racecraft from him. I mean, you're up against a superior piece of machinery, but these defensive moves that he had, I was disappointed on this one in particular that he didn't at least try to block on the inside, because he had already pulled the over-under a few times here. So yeah, just really spirited driving. He wanted that point so desperately, and he really fought for it. It was great to see.
He's such a punchy driver, Kevin Magnussen. It's wonderful when he's got that little bit of confidence, when he's got a car underneath him. He's a joy to watch.
Oh yeah, he is, and he fights very hard. We know that from IMSA and all that stuff, and also in the past in F1. But yeah, he's done really good. I think at the end he just wanted to just give up a little bit because he knew that he was gonna go forever. But yeah, he did a great race.
Ferrari didn't have the pace we were expecting today, but Sainz, who had an opportunity to potentially fight Fernando maybe for the podium, scrappy, I felt, from him today. That mistake coming into the pits leading to him having a penalty.
Yeah, it was a big one too. I mean, they didn't publish how much over the limit he was, but our commentary box is right in front of pit in there, and we saw the smoke in person before we saw it even on the TV. He came in well quick, so it's just unnecessary, isn't it? I mean, you need to push that boundary for sure, but that one seemed like a really wide of the mark move.
Honestly, on that note, the drivers, they were complaining a little bit about the visibility of the pit entry, the pit speed, where it begins. So they started, I think they added a bollard for yesterday for the drivers to help, so maybe that was why.
Could have been part of it.
Yeah, interesting. In the end, he couldn't hold George Russell behind him. And Mercedes, those two drivers, two very different races. It doesn't really show in their positions at the end of the Grand Prix because they're only a couple of spaces apart. But let's start with Lewis Hamilton. We talk about Leclerc having a difficult start to the race. The frustration in Hamilton not being able to move up from that P13 starting spot was evident.
Yeah, I mean, I think any driver, you know what it's like. You get stuck in this position. You know you've got some pace in hand, but especially here, we saw a lot of DRS trains form here. And it's just so hard without a blatant advantage in the car to make moves when you were stuck in there. And yeah, I mean, I think Hamilton was just kind of one of the victims of that.
Yeah, I think so. It was tough for him. I couldn't hear the radios that he was saying. I bet he was complaining. But yeah, I mean, once you get into that rhythm of just following the cars in front, if the car in front has a little bit of DRS and just the tire deck was not huge today, it's tough to.
Interesting radio message as well when Lewis was asked not to hold George back, and he said, well, if he wants it, you can come and get it. And then about 5 seconds later, Lewis promptly moves out of the way.
Yeah, I really wish that, I don't know, you probably didn't hear that one.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, he was asked to move over because George was catching him on a different strategy. Lewis said, he can go by, but I'm not moving over. I'm not slowing down for him.
Did they show the next radio message?
They didn't show. That's what I said. No. I was like, I would have loved to have seen what the response was from pit wall because like, he promptly got out of the way and off he went.
Sure enough, moves out of the way.
But it's interesting because you look at, you're right, finishing position, they were only 2 places apart for very different races. But the gap on track, if you actually look at the finishing time, George was a full pit stop ahead. I mean, it really was. He had passed Lewis after making his first stop. Before he was a full pit stop ahead of Lewis. There's no doubt that was a faster strategy. So big props to Lewis for bringing home that position on a very inferior strategy.
Yeah.
He really drove well today.
He drove that second half of the race.
Yeah.
He absolutely leathered it. It was brilliant. George, a great race from him as well in a car that the team is still so unhappy with. Major upgrades planned, of course, for the next race in Imola. They hope is going to start to cure the issues that they have. But he's seemingly able to extract so much from this car on almost every occasion. Some interesting radio messages from him as well at one point, thinking that he was really close to Perez, but it wasn't. It was Sargent. But I don't know. I thought a lovely drive from George today.
Yeah, honestly, he's been really good. Also, the last year when the car was struggling, he's able to maximize the day and just get that 100% from the car, which is super important, especially here in F1. And he doesn't give up. Honestly, I didn't expect the pace that he had on that Mercedes, and he was able to extract everything.
Doing a phenomenal job is George Russell. Let's hear him now in conversation with Lawrence Barretto.
Hey George, good to see you. Great result, I think, considering how tough that car's been for you this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, P4 in those circumstances we probably wasn't expecting. Really quite a satisfying race. Good overtakes on the Alpines. Good overtake on Carlos. Pace for us, relatively speaking, was strong. We couldn't have done more today, so I'm proud of that. But of course, you know, we want more, and we want races like this to be for the win.
I know. I think I heard you on team radio asking if it was Checo in front, and it turned out to be Logan getting lapped. I guess, were you surprised about the pace of when you were told how far Red Bull are, or is that just where they are at the minute?
I wasn't really surprised. No, that's where they are at the minute. You know, we said at the start of the season they're so far ahead. They've got it easy at the moment. I wonder if they're even running full power or anything. They're just so far ahead. So, you know, that's a bit of a shame for the sport. But you know, kudos to them for the good work that they've clearly done and showing what is possible when you get it right. So that's what we're going to be chasing, and let's see what we can achieve.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Always so positive, George Russell, as he said, when they have a race this good, they want it to be for wins, not just for points. Will those come with the upgrades? Right, let's talk Fernando Alonso. Where do we start with Fernando? Should we start with the insane amounts of spare capacity that the two-time world champion seemingly has watching the television while driving? You can get arrested for that, yeah?
I mean, look, we've done it. When you drive, if you're having a lonely race, which he admitted he did, right? He was sort of running around on his own after those first couple laps. You catch the odd big screen, and it just so happens there was a replay of Lance making a nice overtake, and he wanted to share a congrats with his buddy, with his little brother. So just too funny, man. The one for me, I mean, that was great. But the one for me was, yeah, let's do plan A minus 12. David Coulthard on the broadcast, you know, suggesting that might mean, okay, we're sticking to this strategy, but maybe we stop a bit earlier or something. The fact that he is literally just doing math in his head on the race strategy and then calling it back in is so incredible.
Yeah, and honestly, at that time, I was following Fernando a little bit close, and he started going really slow on the first stint when Carlos was right behind at 6 or 7 tenths. And then Carlos pitted to try and undercut them, and he started going like 8 tenths quicker. So the fact that he's able to think that much and always be right and try and help the team make and call a better strategy is just amazing.
And what do we make of this version of Fernando Alonso into his 40s? You know, last World Championship was 05, 06, and yet the level that he's racing at, the performances he's putting in his 40s is astonishing for this level of elite sport.
And he's enjoying, which I think that makes a huge difference when it comes to driver performance. But yeah, honestly, the ability that he has to go that quick on the limit, on overtakes as well. But honestly, how happy he seems when he jumps out of the car, when he celebrates for the podium, I think that's Fernando's back.
Well, let's hear how happy is Mr. Fernando Alonso after a return to the Formula One podium.
Hey Fernando, congratulations back on the podium. You're making quite a habit of it.
Yeah, we missed it in Baku for 8/10 of the second, but here we came back to the podium position. The race was very strong from the team. Good strategy, good tire degradation as usual on Sundays, and yeah, we secured the fourth podium of the season, so it feels great.
I remember you were telling me about some stats about how you are edging closer to the front. It feels like you guys are a step closer today, and you are kind of closer to that gap.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 15 seconds or something like that. So yeah, that probably was our best race of the year in terms of race pace, and yeah, we need to keep understanding the car. Obviously, still everything new to us. We found ourselves in a position that we still difficult to believe, but yeah, we are maximizing every Sunday, so this is the way to go.
Great stuff. Congratulations.
Fernando says this is difficult to believe. When do they have to start believing this and really maximizing the potential that they have?
I think you believe now. I mean, I think we're far enough into the season. Like you said, the only podium he missed by 8/10 of a second. You know, probably could have had that one as well. This is genuinely the second fastest race car, and he is driving at a level that's really tough to describe to people.
And let's not forget, this is a car which has not as yet seen a major upgrade package put on it. All of that still to come this season. The man who's in charge of that is Mike Crack. So let's hear from him now, because I believe Laura Winter has found him.
Mike, congratulations. Another podium for Fernando Alonso. It seems to keep getting better for him this season, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's quite good. 4 podiums in 5 races, the other one the P4. That's, I think, quite a good record. So let's hope that we can continue like that, or maybe do better.
And I guess damage limitation for Lance Stroll as well. Do you feel he could have maybe got into the points had things been a little bit different out there today?
Yeah, he had definitely the pace to do it, but we were a bit caught out because many people had the same strategy starting in front, and then you are in the DRS train, and then it's really hard to pass. So unfortunately, that was a little bit the end of the points haul for him. He did well then when we changed to the medium tires. He could pass a couple of cars, but the race was not long enough then to end in the points. Shame, but we have to do a better job in qualifying with Lance in the future. As a team, I think we did not do a great job there yesterday, and if he starts from further front, then it's easier.
This gap to Red Bull continues to sit around 20 plus seconds, doesn't it? Do you see it closing, and if so, how?
It's a difficult question. I think, there has not been so many upgrades now on our car, so we could not expect it to get smaller. In the races to come, we will try to improve the car and try, obviously, to reduce that gap. But we need to stay realistic. They are also developing their car, even if they have less time. It's a team that knows how to do these things. So I think we need to keep our feet on the ground, try to do our best. It will be hard enough to maintain the position that we are in now. But this will be our full focus now.
And at the moment, you seem to be winning in the battle with the likes of Ferrari and Mercedes around you.
Yeah, that's quite encouraging. I mean, we yesterday, obviously, with the incidents in qualifying, it gave us an opportunity to start a bit further front. But we had the pace also today. I think had Fernando started, maybe a bit further down, I think we could still have finished where we did.
And finally, Fernando over the team radio at one point said that was a great move from Lance into turn 1. Was he watching the screens? Does he have a little monitor in the car? What was going on?
Well, I think he was watching some of the screens on the racetrack, but it shows you how much capacity he has while driving at the top. To even look at things like that, yeah, I mean, he's challenging us all the time, not only with that one, but constantly asking questions and pushing us. So it's good. It's one of these reasons why we wanted to have a driver like that, because he's pushing the team, and if we want to make progress, we need such people.
Capacity and camaraderie as well within the team, which is good to see. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Mike. Okay, guys, Sergio Perez. We've been bigging him up all the way through the day, that this was his chance to really make his mark, and yet there was nothing he could do to hold back Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean, he maximized yesterday. He did the lap when he needed in qualifying. Max didn't. He took the pole and opened a little bit of a gap, but Max this weekend, he was so dominant. He was just so far ahead that there was nothing, I think, that Sergio could do.
How much of this came from Baku? Came from the fact that Max didn't take those wins, that Sergio got so close to him in the championship fight? How much was this a marker from Max to say, I'm still in control of this?
It's a cool theory, but at the same time, Max is going to do this every weekend that he can. This is just how Max, he only has one speed. He only has one level of operation, and it is maximum. It's just the ebb and flow of Sergio in response to that. Baku, he was on his pace all weekend long. Here he wasn't. Not in one practice, not in any qualifying segments until Q3, and certainly not in the race. So it's not that Max performed better this weekend, it's that maybe Checo wasn't quite on the same level. Max is going to be here, week in and week out. Which Checo are we going to get each week? And I think that's what he needs to work on, is that consistently being close to him.
And it's the point you brought up in the race, is if this is Max through the season, this is also Max through the race. Sergio in the race today was at times on pace, then dropping off, on pace, dropping off. It's that inconsistency, be that over the course of a Grand Prix or over the course of a season.
Yeah, and I think we saw that especially like lap 35 to 40 with Max's hard tires, that he was faster than Checo on like
20 lap newer tires,
less tires. So it's just impressive the level that Max is able to race at.
I think probably the most popular driver here at Miami with the crowd around this amazing track. I know I'll be disappointed to miss out on the win, but let's hear from the man who ultimately finished P2 in today's Grand Prix, Sergio Perez.
Hey Checo, difficult to say it's a bad result with P2, but I know that you wanted the win today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, obviously I wanted to win today. Didn't work out. Very early on, I could see that that medium tire was a weak one, especially for that first stint. And I just didn't go long enough to build a tire delta. Unfortunately, it didn't work this time for us, but I think we got to learn and understand what went wrong today and hopefully be to our normal pace in Imola.
And I guess even on weekends when you can't win, it's still important to get second because you need to keep yourself in the championship fight, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You cannot afford a bad weekend, so a bad weekend needs to be a P2.
Great stuff, thank you.
So that was Sergio Perez's thoughts on the race. How about the thoughts of his team boss, Christian Horner? Laura Winter has been running around this paddock and has managed to grab hold of Christian.
Christian Horner, winning team principal once again, joins me. We must stop meeting like this, Christian. It seems I'm interviewing you every weekend at the moment. But let's focus on that Max Verstappen win. It was flawless in points. The consistency in his lap times is really, I think, where he managed to just get the advantage over Checo.
Well, he was unbelievably consistent. He never dropped more than 5.5 seconds behind Checo from the start, even coming through the traffic. And then if you look at his pace between lap 20 and 42, on tyres that were 20 laps older than Checo's, that's where he did the damage. Matching Checo's time, sometimes bettering the time. So when he came out on that new set of mediums with 12 laps to go, he'd already done the hard work. It was great to see the two drivers racing firmly but fairly, which is what I asked of them this morning. And great for the team to get this result, especially here.
What do you think Checo could have done differently?
I don't know. I think it was just one of those days where Max it was a huge performance, and I think maybe when you look back, could we have pushed the first stint a bit harder? But of course we didn't know how, or Checo didn't know how the tires were going to react. Brand new surface, were they going to open up, were they going to grain? And so obviously he felt his way in, conservatively, and then started to push on from probably lap 10 onwards.
And how is Checo doing? Because I guess there may be some disappointment creeping in because he was in a prime position to take the championship lead here.
Yeah, but it's a long year. I mean, wow, Checo's had a hell of a start to the season, and he got a great pole yesterday. It still was, only 14 points between the two of them. So he was winning just 1 week ago. So, I don't think he's going to leave too disappointed. I think that he'll want to understand where that time difference was in the middle part of the race.
Yeah, plenty more clean battles, hopefully, on track between the two of your drivers. Are you wary at all heading into the next race as teams begin to bring upgrades, the likes of Aston Martin, Ferrari and Mercedes, potentially closing that gap to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you coming back to Europe, we know that upgrades are coming for our rivals, and that's only going to make things tighter, and I'm sure they're battling hard to get back into a competitive position, so we take absolutely nothing for granted.
The dream start to this season seems to just go on and on for you guys, doesn't it? It must feel like you're on cloud 9 at sometimes.
Well, it's been the best start we've ever had in our history. So, 5th victory, fourth 1-2 in 5 races is an incredible team performance.
Yeah, it is. Thanks very much, Christian. Congratulations.
So that was Christian Horner, and as he said, the key to Max's success today was that as he was coming through the field, he never dropped back more than 5.5 seconds from Sergio Perez, and that meant he had to make some bold moves. We're asking you on F1 Live to drop in some comments. One of them came in from Dennis, who was remarking about just how impressed they were with the double move that he put on to the Ferrari and the Haas. That was instinctive, bold, just right.
And it would have been so easy for him in that moment to be like, I'm fighting for a championship. I've got the pace to get these guys. I'll let them sort this out, and I'll get them each over the next 2 laps. And then the pace they have on DRS is so good. He's like, you know what? It's riskier for me to back off here. I'm just going to stick it down the inside, make it 3 wide, take them both in one. It was incredible.
It was a bold move, wasn't it, Alex?
Yeah, it was. I mean, but he was not over the limit. No. He was never over the limit. He was right at the limit. He knew he had the opportunity to overtake 2 cars at once. He went for it, and just, as you said, the key was not dropping more than 5.5 seconds. I think he knows that if you lose 1 second on the first couple of laps, it can be like 5 or 6 seconds in like 10 laps. So he just wanted to get that as fast as possible.
Instinctive, ruthless, perfect. Max Verstappen could not be held back. Here is your race win.
Hey Max, congratulations. Did you expect at the start of the day that you'd have been able to have such incredible pace to fight your way through?
It's always difficult to tell how good it would be, but I knew that the car was very quick. It was just about how quickly I could clear all the cars ahead of me. And of course I was also on a bit of a different strategy, but yeah, the pace was very good. It was very important to go really long in the first stint, but it was a bit difficult to tell how the tires would last. So that's why probably in the middle of that stint I had to back in or back it out a bit. Okay. And then at the end of that stint I could push again because I could feel like I would hit that lap anyway, the lap number we wanted to target. And yeah, that's why I think that made my race, you know, to come out so close. Of course, after the pit stop, then of course I had fresher tires, and that tire was probably a little bit more fragile today, but it was still good enough, of course, to pull out again.
After the difficulties of yesterday and not the ideal weekend in Baku, is it really satisfying just to be back on the top step again?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a bit disappointing. I was a bit upset with myself, but you know, these things can happen in racing, but it's important to just learn from them, and then of course a reset for today, knowing that you have a quick car, but then you still have to put it all together in the race.
Great stuff, congrats.
Your World Championship leader and your race winner, Max Verstappen. A dominant display in the end from him here in Miami, which pretty much brings us to the end of our show. My thanks to Alex Palou and James Hinchcliffe for joining me today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure. But one final thing we need to do before we go is look at the championship tables after this Miami Grand Prix. And of course, Max Verstappen is still your championship leader now on 119 points. Sergio Perez P2 on 105. Then it's Fernando Alonso 75. Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. George Russell up 1 place to 6th. And Charles Leclerc dropping 1 place to 7th. Lance Stroll, Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly making his way up into the top 10. Behind them, Nico Hülkenberg, P11, then Ocon in 12th, Bottas and Piastri, Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon, Logan Sargent and Nick De Vries yet to score a point. In the Constructors, it's Red Bull who lead the way on a whopping 224, more than double that of Aston Martin in second. Mercedes are third ahead of Ferrari, then it's McLaren and Alpine, Haas and Alfa Romeo, Alfa Tauri and Williams. Well, we have 1 week off and then it's back to racing ways, the first part of a triple header. And it all starts on Friday the 19th of May. Practice 1 at 1:15, practice 2 at 4:45, rolling into Saturday and practice 3 at 12:15 before qualifying at 4 p.m. The race comes your way on Sunday at 3. And that is it, folks, from the paddock here in Miami. What an incredible weekend it has been. This Hard Rock Stadium raising the level once again. A beautiful weekend enjoyed by all. We will see you in Imola. Until then, from all of us here, thank you for tuning in, and that's your lot.